Memories of you fill my head. Recently I've been thinking about your smiling hair. Instead of focusing on me, I've been focusing on you. Memories of the time we spent back when we were so in love with...
Hello everybody and welcome back to my channel. So I have been extremely busy this last week. It got me thinking of some maybe video ideas that could happen because honestly I haven't been very motivated to do videos because I've had so many other things coming before that. This is something that I wish I had seriously researched and initiated in my life a long time ago. I've always struggled with being organized and procrastinating and just not having a balance between work and relaxation. I am the worst procrastinator I have ever met. In high school, I had a crazy schedule. Once I got to college, it was not as bad, but as the years have gone on, it's built up again. And recently I've had to revert back to these tips because if I don't, I will not succeed in what I'm doing. I am not known for being very organized. So, Trevor will probably watch this and like my family will see this and probably be like, why are you giving tips? And actually recently I have started to implement these tips more and it's helped me be more successful in the different areas of my life that I am extremely busy. So this is the procrastinator's guide to organization. So this really can be applied to any sort of task or area of your life that you feel overwhelmed or just extremely busy. So recently, this past week, 2 weeks has been extremely busy for me. A little bit about my life. I work full-time for a local realtor, and then I'm also in school full-time online. I'm getting my bachelor's in civil engineering, and so the course load with that is not always easy. Recently, Trevor and I had decided that we were going to proceed with plans for our marriage celebration / wedding celebration in April. So I've been working a lot on getting things in place for that that we weren't necessarily proceeding with yet. So those 3 things have been taking up a majority of my time. Thankfully, I work from home and a lot of these things I'm able to do from home, so I'm able to organize my schedule. And so I understand if maybe some of you watching this have more of a set schedule. You can't really alter it that much, but I know how that is too. I would just say work with what you have and try your best to implement these tools, and you will most likely see improvement. So I have 4 tips today, 4 do's and don'ts for procrastinators to make good use of their time. So the first one is write things down and set reminders. I am the biggest proponent for writing things down. I know a lot of people have their schedule on their iPad, on their iPhone, digital, and that's totally fine if that works better for you. But for me, I'm a very visual person and I'm also like tactile. So it helps me to like physically write it down and see it in front of me on paper and able to edit it that way. Also, setting reminders is a super big thing. If you have a phone, you have an app called Reminders, and you're able to go in and set reminders and you can make them for a certain day and time. You can make them repeated, recurring. And so that is what I've been recently implementing. And I actually learned that from Trevor. I was the worst at remembering things. I'm still not great at it, but he would remember things so well. Like I would ask him to remember something or I would ask him to do something on a certain day and he would always like do it. And I was just like, how do you remember how to do all this stuff? Like you have stuff going on too. Like how do you remember all this? And he's like, I just set reminders in my phone when I know I need to remember. And I remember. So set reminders in your phone because you have your phone with you all the time, most likely, if you have a phone. So it's gonna help you remember. The don't that is associated with this is do not be too detailed and get distracted about being aesthetic with your notes and things. I've also struggled with this. I would go to make my schedule or write things out in my planner, and I'm so focused on being aesthetic and like making it cute, and I get distracted or I forget what I'm even writing down while I'm writing it down. For me, I've gotten to the point where it's not really a priority anymore. I'm the only one seeing my notes, so I'm not worried about that. But I can understand people who maybe that helps them learn or that helps them feel better about their schedule. So just make sure to keep that in mind. The second tip that I would have, especially for people who maybe are online school or work from home, is try a new workspace. I have a great office space, thankfully, where I live. I can usually get things done and stay focused. For me, I find myself, I'll be home for multiple days in a row. I get less motivated and less motivated each day. So a lot of times I will choose to maybe go to a local coffee shop, or my favorite place actually to go is the library, just because I feel like I just think really well at the library. And I don't know, it's kind of like nostalgia for me because when I was homeschooled, I used to do work at the library. Library is like probably my favorite place to go to do homework or just do work in general. The don't with this tip is do not allow distractions to take you off task. I know a lot of people who can't work in coffee shops with a lot of noise and just people walking in and out. So keep that in mind with the place you choose to go. If you know that you get distracted easily with sounds and people, I would say maybe don't go to a coffee shop, but also know yourself enough to make that decision. The next one, the third one, is to set a timer and work for that entire amount of time with no distractions. This is actually a tip I learned through an engineering class I took. We were learning about study skills and stuff, and there is a method where you put a timer on for a certain amount of time and just work for that whole time. And then after that, you get a certain amount of break that's shorter than that time. And then you just repeat and go on and off. So that's something that I have been trying to implement as well. And that's been working for me a lot too. And also that's way easier to do at a library, because a library, what's going to distract you? Books. For me at home, I can get distracted with a number of things. So that's another thing to think about. And the don't with that would be don't have breaks that are longer than the amount of time you're working. So don't work for 10 minutes and then have a 30-minute break. You need to really pace yourself. I usually do like 30, 45 minutes and then like a 5 to 10 minute break. But that's kind of the ratio you want to think. You don't want to go too long on your break because then you are not being productive. The last tip that I have, and probably the hardest tip that I have ever had to implement or ever implemented, is to set accountability with your tasks and with what you have to get done. Accountability just in general life is not always fun. But there's a reason why it exists. It exists to make you better, and it exists to keep you to your word and keep you to what you need to be doing. I know I have a lot of people in my life that will hold me accountable, and I actually have a counselor who will hold me accountable on like schoolwork and such to help make sure I get it done. And it's a lot easier for me to like take her accountability because she's like already mentoring me. Sometimes too, I will get accountability from my parents or Trevor, and it's always hard for me because I sometimes slip into what you shouldn't do. And the don't for this tip is do not get mad when you're held accountable. If you ask someone to hold you accountable and then get mad when they actually do, that is just putting them through something they don't deserve to be put through. And this is something I struggle with so much. When it comes to school and being told what to do, I just don't like it. I don't like being told what to do. I don't like being told how to use my time. Just be considerate of that when asking for accountability. maybe ask for accountability from somebody who doesn't anger you in general. If you ask for accountability from somebody who's already tells you what to do all the time, chances are you're not gonna like it when they hold you accountable. Choose somebody to hold you accountable that's going to do it in a loving way, not in a bossy way. That will also help with the whole process. So those were just some tips and tricks that I've learned. If you have any additional tips that you like to use, please leave them down below. I'm always looking for new advice and tips on being organized. It's something that I enjoy doing, but I'm not always the best at. So I hope you guys enjoyed, and I will see you in my next video.